channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy, sometimes Mouse, and I talk about books and book-related things, and today I'm going to give you the 10 worst books I read in 2021. If you watched last week's video, I did post the 10 best books that I read in 2021. If you didn't watch last week's video, you can go ahead and like and subscribe and share this video, all of those things, and go watch it. I do want to give my regular disclaimers that if you hear any animal sounds in the background, that would be because I live in a zoo and I don't have any control over the critters that live with me. Y'all know the drill by now, I hope. Anyway, I also want to say that these are all my personal opinions. These are how I personally felt about these books and why I think they are the worst, and you are not obligated to agree with me. If I make you mad about my opinions on something, let's do an internal check. And remember that you get to have a different opinion than I do. It's the way that those things work. Alright, have you done your internal check to make sure that you are in a place to hear about books I didn't like, just in case it might have been a book that you liked? You ready? Alright, so we're gonna start with possibly two of the worst books that I've ever read, ever. I was upset about these books for quite a long time, and this is one of the few series that I actually posted my full blog review on Goodreads instead of just waiting to post it on my blog, because I felt like it was important for people to know. And so the first two books on this list are Secrets of the Starcrossed and Curse of the Celts by Clara O'Connor. This is the first two books in a trilogy, and this book is essentially supposed to be what would the future have looked like if Rome never fell. And it just blatantly ignores any historical facts, and it just ignores basic historical facts. It's mind-blowing how inaccurate it is historically for a book that is supposed to be like, ooh, let's consider history if this never happened, but then like it's also completely disregarding the things that would have still happened regardless, like prior. But those are not the reasons that I disliked this book. The reason I disliked this book is because there are many, many, many times in the book in which the characters, the love interests, are drugged and have sex with each other, knowing that one another is under the influence and would otherwise not consent to that relationship. There is also a time in the very end of the second book where the only way to get this bonding marriage thing off of one of the characters is for her to have sex with someone that she absolutely hates as she watches her loved one die. This is supposed to be a young adult book, and this young adult book says essentially that non-consensual sex is fine. It frames all of it in this light of, oh, it's fine. Oh, the motives weren't great, but you liked it though. Oh, you were drugged, but you would do it again even sober. I really don't like that. I really, really, really don't like that. So that's why these are the two worst books that I've ever read. That doesn't even account for the love interests being absurd, just fucking absurd, for the entire story not making any sense, for the writing being not that great. It doesn't account for any of those things. Those two main parts, the consensual sex issue in a young adult book and the let's just pretend history is whatever I want it to be, that ain't it. That ain't it. You can totally write a fantasy book that's in a different world and do whatever you want with that world's history, but you wrote it in our world. That was just weird. Next we have Dorothy Must Die by Danielle Page. Dorothy doesn't die. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. This was the dumbest book I've ever read. So first off, I got this book at the library, and the back of the book says like something, Dorothy has to die, the queen has to do this, and someone has to do this. That exact phrase, you know, like when you read the back of a book to see what a book's about, that exact phrase is in the last chapter of the book. None of those things happen in that book. They happen later on in this series. This was like the setup for a full series, except the problem is that it sucked. It was garbage. None of it felt worth reading, and the character relationships were just absolutely absurd, and our main character was annoying, and also, sorry, all of them would have been better if they were queer, which they weren't. It was just dumb. It was dumb. It's dumb and slow. slow. Dorothy walks the yellow brick road for 1,000 pages, and then she doesn't die. Then there's a book 2 that I never read. Next we have Infinity Reaper by Adam Silvera. This is a sequel, and there shouldn't have been a sequel. We should have just stopped at 1 because the first one was so bad. This one, Adam Silvera thought, oh, you guys really hate this one main character? And you want more world building? I'll tell you what. I will give you no world building and more of that main character. No. That character, he's not even likable. I can't remember his name. He's not even likable. He also, like, oh, plot twist, he betrays everyone in the end. He has been leading up to that very blatantly since book 1, and his whole grievance with everybody and the reason he became evil was because he's just not as special as his brother. And because he's just not as special and no one takes him as seriously and he feels unloved and has daddy issues, he decided to take it out on everybody else around him. That's it, that's the plot of the book, and it was fucking stupid. On top of the fact that we still don't get any world building that makes sense. Honestly, these books would be even better if we stopped trying this social media inclusion. It's just a distraction. Then we have 2 ballerina-based books. Both of them are fucking horrible. We have The Ballerinas by Rachel Kapelke-Dale. This is a thriller book, and the twist, I'm gonna go ahead and ruin it for you. The twist is that sometimes men suck. Also, most problems could be resolved through communicating, but if we did that, we wouldn't have this book. Also, let's hypersexualize ballet. Yay! A thriller. Shocking. Truly in awe that men could be bad. That's such a shock to me that a man would make bad choices and emotionally hurt the women, and then the women push him out a window and everyone's like, wow, how did that happen? And they're like, weird, he fell. It was dumb. Then we have The Turnout by Megan Abbott, also dumb, also has hypersexuality of ballet, also has men that are they just suck. But also there is essay of children and sisters having relations. The thriller was that home insurance is complicated. That was the twist. It wasn't a twist. I learned so much about home insurance in that book that I didn't want to know. Next, we have Kingdom of the Cursed by Carrie Maniscalco. This was a sequel that made me want to die. It is a whole lot of foreplay for one sex scene, and it is a new adult and not a young adult, which the first book was a young adult. The plot can be condensed into about 15 minutes of the billion-hour audiobook, and the rest of it is just weird, non-consensual sexual activity, and I hate him, he betrayed me, but he's hot though, and that's pretty much it. That's the whole book. I think that everybody who's praising this book is disregarding that there is an entire chapter in which non-consensual sexual activity occurs. I also think that everybody who likes this book is just really into smut, and that's totally okay, but that book was not a good book because also there was only like one sex scene and the rest of it was just foreplay, which foreplay is fine, but when it comes to a billion-hour audiobook, it gets old. I think it gets old for people. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I wasn't into it. It wasn't it for me. It just was so far away from what the first book was that I couldn't do it. Next, we have The Excalibur Curse by Kiersten White. Another disappointing next book in a series. This was the third and final book in the Guinevere Deception trilogy, and if you thought you were getting queer baited in book 1 and 2, let me tell you about book 3. Instead of answering the will she, won't she question, Kiersten White took it upon herself to not answer that question at all, and in the book was saying, I've answered all of these other questions, but love is a question I'll answer another day. And I'm genuinely not kidding, that is how the book ends, because you want her to choose between Lancelot and Arthur, especially since Lancelot is a woman now. But no, we don't do that. We also do find out who Guinevere is, and then she whines about it the whole rest of the book. I don't know where our main character from the first 2 books went, but she's definitely not in the 3rd book. Her evil twin, I guess, is the one in the 3rd book now. I'm not into it. It's not the moves for me. Nope. No. Then we have American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I DNF'd this book, so I'm gonna go ahead and own that I did not finish this book. I have finished all of the other books on this list. I did not finish American Gods because it is super fucking long, and awful. It's horrible. It's horrible. It was like edgelord writing. Like maybe Neil Gaiman is the inspiration for Jay Kristoff's writing. I'm really not sure. Except that at least in Jay Kristoff's writing, everybody has a little bit more emotion. Our main character in American Gods found out that his wife cheated on him, died while giving that guy head, is now a ghost haunting him, and he's just like, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Oh, I'm working for a god now? Okay. That's fine. Okay. That's the most boring reaction to something going on in your life that like, I get disassociating from shit being difficult, but what the fuck was that? Like, oh, yeah. Oh, you did that? Gross, but okay. Also, that's in the first chapter. The I died giving head to some guy that I was cheating on you with is in the first chapter. I can't. It was so boring and drawn out and overly sexual for no fucking reason. Like, I'm all okay with sex scenes. I'm alright with smut, you know, whatever. There was no reason for this bullshit. And Neil Gaiman was like, I'm gonna include that. But he's married to somebody who's anti-Semitic, so, you know, it is what it is. The next and last book on the list is Aetherbound by E.K. Johnston. I finished that book feeling very, what the fuck? That was my personal reaction, was, what the fuck? It is we sold you into slavery to get pregnant, and now you're pregnant and gonna have an heir for the throne. Great. Oh, also, your family's been selling children and girls forever. Oh, also, obsessive calorie counting. The entire book. It's a sci-fi. It's a young adult sci-fi. This should have stayed in the fanfics, homie. Like, this should have stayed in the drafts. It's bad. It's bad. I expected it to be so much better, and it was so bad. Like, every time something would happen that I was just like, I would be like, maybe the plot's gonna get better. It didn't get better. Also, we lost the overarching political plot to mostly focus on how to get her pregnant without making her uncomfortable. It was an awful book, and I do not recommend it. I don't recommend any of these books. So, that's it. That's my 10 worst books that I read in 2021. I hope you enjoyed this video because I did not. I hate talking about these. They get me riled up. If you didn't enjoy this video, fair. I don't post them that often. I post them once a year, so let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these books, if you have similar or different opinions. Don't argue with me though. Again, we're allowed to have different opinions and we can have a conversation about those different opinions, but don't argue with me because arguing is not the same thing as discussing. Those are two different things. Keep it in mind. That's the problem on book Twitter most of the time. They don't understand you can have a conversation without arguing with someone. Anyway, these are the books I didn't like this year. Thanks. I'll see you guys again on Thursday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time and again on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. If you liked this video, I already said that in the beginning, sorry. Don't forget to take your meds, drink your water, and do something today to take care of yourself. Also, thank you for being here. Okay, thanks, bye.